This regular. Me and my dad walked into the racetrack when I was like 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, because back then you could bring kids to the racetrack, wasn't no big thing. And I remember two little white boys calling us and throwing ice at us and shit. And I looked at my daddy, and the demonstration he gave me is how my daddy looked at them kids like that wasn't his problem, it was theirs. And it taught me something. So now is when I go into what I do.
Right.
So to answer your question, let's go a little deeper before you get to your next one. For people of color, I want you to be aware. The United States of America is an amazing tool.
Facts.
Might not be. For people of color, is a destination. You heard me? Boss! So what does that mean? Does that mean you got to go uproot your family and move out of the USA? No. It just means that it is your job, just like your ancestors, to venture out to other areas, to experience other cultures, and find that place where people are just happy to see a brother, just like I'm happy to see you right now, just like we have this excitement in encountering one another. And when you begin to experience that type of, it's called limbic exchange. When you begin to experience what it is like to be regarded equality, what it is regarded to be regarded an equal, what it is like to be regarded human without the negative media campaign at every turn aiming to discredit you simply because it is. When you begin to experience what that's like, the mind begins to heal, fam. The body begins to relax. The neurological system begins to relax and heal. And it is through that process that you begin to identify what home and what acceptance really feels like. Boss! Because look. Because look. This whole shit, I don't know if y'all noticed, I have an online community. We talk about this shit all the time. For the last few weeks, we've been doing our live coachings in the online community. We've been talking about learned helplessness. And so part of what irks me about this conversation is the fact that it reeks of learned helplessness. Well, TJ, what the fuck is learned helplessness? Well, let me help you understand. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk wrote a book titled The Body Keeps the Score, right? And what he's implying is that all the things that you go through, though you think you might mash down, the psychological impacts that they have resonate in the body, take hold in the body, which is why children who experience ACEs, early childhood adversity, you can look up the ACEs study if you want to learn more about it. It's why we tend to have diseases earlier, die younger, suffer from chronic illness quicker. The reason is because the adversity, the trauma begins to affect our biochemistry.
Right.
And as a result of that, we start aging prematurely. So he says the body keeps the score. Now, in his book, what was really interesting is he met a colleague named Dr. Stephen Meyer. He put dogs in kennels in a room and would administer electric shocks to all the dogs. Now, there was a few dogs in kennels in between them that wasn't getting shocked, but he shocked them till they shit on themselves, pee on themselves, and they're crying and whining and shaking and scared as shit. Then they would open up the cages. The dogs that got shocked would not leave the cage. The dogs that didn't get shocked would haul ass.
Yeah.
Shit, you had to bring in a couple athletes to catch them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, wait a minute. The dogs that got shocked are refusing to leave the cage? And through that, he coined the term learned helplessness. So what happened? What is this learned helplessness? Well, this learned helplessness is you've now acquiesced. You've now settled and accepted this reality as the only reality. In fact, in your mind, you've concocted a belief that anything beyond this will be worse or the same. Right? So, who that sound like? Who that sound like? Who that sound like? Who living the most insulated in the United States of America? Who that sound like? Now, let me ask you a question. What are ways that learned helplessness might manifest in your life?
Okay. Is that For me?
I'm asking you.
Okay. Let me really think about it. Because obviously we went with the political stuff. Learn helplessness. I don't know. I think I gotta put some thought into it.
Well, thought is the name of the game, but I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Procrastination is a form of learned helplessness.
Yeah, I definitely do
Right?
that.
Resistance to change is a form of learned helplessness. Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a prime example. The normalization of mental health disorders. A lot of us, one of the reasons a lot of us is fucked up is because we were raised in households with motherfuckers who are undiagnosed with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, ADHD, ODD. Shit, nigga, we was raised in the households with pedophiles. Shit, I can't say that on YouTube. Shit.
You can.
Cancel, abort mission. Shit. PDF files. So the PDFs, because I be reading a lot of PDFs.
Right.
We were raised in these environments.
Yeah.
And there was so much dysfunction. And out of the fear of shame, we normalized a lot of it, or we didn't discuss it, or we didn't address it, or we didn't acknowledge it. Now, if you are a child processing that, I'm asking you, because you a wise, funny nigga. I'm asking you, what do you think the child does processing this experience?
They're probably either gonna repeat the behaviors that they grew up with, or the child, I would imagine, repeat. Like, I think if you're an adult and you grow up with those things, it can either you're either gonna be the same, or you can use that to kind of be the opposite. But I think it's always gonna have somewhat of an effect on you.
So here's, and I love what Curvin Tills just said. And that shame turns to rage, boss, because it's a form of learned helplessness. Now check it out. Why does the child choose those two routes? Well, 90% of the time the child's going to repeat it, but the reason is because of the fact that the child is not trying to be like his peers. The child thinks that the adults got it all figured out. That's why when you abuse the child don't hate you, he hate himself. Why can't I get this right? What's another form of learned helplessness? I'm asking you, wise young man.
Would fear be one, or is that too vague?
Well, look, fear of what?
Like of a failure.
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
People who grow up in extreme dysfunction become much more risk averse. Just like the dogs in the cages. So here we is in the United States of America. Let's just say the United States of America was a kennel.
Okay. Hypothetically.
A hypothetical kennel. Is it fair to say that niggas is getting shocked a lot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how many niggas is running out the cage?
Not enough.
My point being, I'm being extreme, but this exact dynamic is happening on so many different levels of our lives, from the most personal, from our relationships, from the conversations we have with ourselves. I see a lot of us so focused on what everybody else is doing wrong that we miss the greatest opportunities of our lives. And it's the thing that we tend to have the most control over.
Elaborate with that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just looking in the comments right now.
Okay.
Men going back and forth about what black women were doing and what and what white people are doing, and what, look, dog, you can't control that.
Yeah. But
if you continue to obsess about it, you are suffering from what I like to call perceived pain. Here's the facts.
Okay.
A lot of us are suffering from perceived pain, not personal pain, because the media is able to influence us in ways, because then people are able to control the narrative in ways that make us believe we are suffering from things that we personally are not. So I've heard men express true hate for certain types of women.
Yeah.
However, these men and their own personal experiences with women do not reflect any of what they talking about. You feel me? They haven't had those run-ins. They haven't experienced those types. Or they go to a strip club, hook up with a stripper, and get mad at the stripper when she plays them. Right. Or hits them off with a venereal disease on the inside of their lip or some shit like that.
Right. I'm guessing you're aware of like the red pill movement.
Yeah. I'm aware of it.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you think it got to this point where it was such like a big thing on the internet? What do you think that's about?
Well, look, man, I'm a firm believer that for most of us, like I said, that's exactly what I was speaking to. I think for most of us, I'm a firm believer that for most men, we don't hate women. We hate our fucking mamas. Oof. Because the love was there or not, but either way, it was toxic. And so all the things that we never got to address, all the things we never got around to resolving within our household now manifest in every direction. Because here's something that I've learned about the brain. If I could hate anything about the brain, it's the shit that I would hate about the brain. The fact that the brain interprets familiarity as safety, even if it's a detriment to your being. Pause. I know a lot of y'all in there saying, oh, he this, he that. Yeah, look, you can still learn from a brighter nigga, even if you don't like the nigga. Heard me? Look. So I'm not going to harp on the red pill movement. I'm just going to make the point that the one thing we can't control is our own experiences, our own destiny. But if you never get around to addressing these unresolved issues, you walk around in a fit of rage. And that's why motherfuckers want to jump out their car on the freeway and shit and slap box with niggas. Not me. This Florida dog. Nigga sick as alligator on your ass.
Yeah, if he doesn't fucking shoot you.
So, what about you? What's your take
on the red pill? I mean, obviously, I disagree with it. I was asking if you had any like insight of how it could be such a big thing, because I don't know. Like a few years ago, it was everywhere. I think my thing is, I think there's a shift in terms of like young men and dating. I think back in the day, it wasn't that hard to get a wife because like women essentially needed men, and now women, I don't think they're really asking for much. I think really they're only asking you to be like somewhat competent, funny if possible, and be like on their level financially. And I think there's a lot of dudes that aren't there. And I think a lot of us are like with our whole EQ, like emotional intelligence is low as fuck. I think women just kind of have a better grasp for that. And I think a lot of dudes feel rejected. And I think there's a lot of people online who will play into those emotions and give you dog shit advice.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
And I want to piggyback off what you're saying and to tell you that I remember about 20 years ago, the woman who did all the data analysis for Match.com was being interviewed on this obscure little podcast that I just got lucky to come around. So I'm listening to the podcast, and one of the questions they was asking then, and I might be wrong, it might be like 15 years ago, they was like, well, what's the difference between dating and what people expect in a date now versus what people expected, before, like what people put in their profiles. Right. And the thing that stood out to me the most was this. I'm Gen X. Okay. So I got missing teeth from fighting. Okay. Them is facts. Right. Okay. And so, and yes, I'm admitted, I've been beat up multiple times. I've been beat up a lot. And it's one of the reasons I'm so fast. But the point is, a lot of folks, when I was growing up, and she made this point kind of clear too. She said, when people back in the day were looking for dates and looking for someone or potential husband or potential wife, those people came with, they had their co-workers, and through their co-workers, they had people they had their neighbors. And so the person they confided in about, about business ideas. They had the person that they shared recipes with. They had the person that they discussed their finances with. They had the person that they did their dirt with. They had the motherfucker that they would be talking to about the soap operas. Girl, you see what Cheryl just did to Darren? They had all that. What they had was they had community. So they brought their community to their relationship.
Okay.
However, all the different roles that the people in your community play actually play a role in your village.
Right.
Today, all of those things that you found in your community, people now expect them in a single mate. No human is capable of fulfilling all those roles. I don't care how sweet Dick Willie that nigga is. Buzz!
So, okay. So you think people are expecting more out of their partners because they have less community?
Oh, absolutely. I think that community, look, people will look at children and say it takes a village.
Yeah.
Well, dog, statistics say that most of us are walking around with unresolved wounds, which makes us unhealed children. We got wounded little boys in us. We still wounded little boys manifesting in our conversations, in our desires, in our interests, in our lack of fulfillment. You don't need a village? Okay. You know how many people I coach that think I changed their lives simply because I let them be a part of my community and told them you can't do it alone. You have to, and said, yo, this nigga trying to write a script, and I hooked him up with so-and-so, and now he got an accountability group. Oh, you changed my life. No, I didn't change your life, nigga. I just changed your perspective. I know for a fact it's a bunch of motherfuckers in this live stream right now creating in a bubble, dreaming in a bubble, because we have no understanding of the value of community, but we look at children and feel like, oh, it takes a village. Right before we leave the baby and their mama. Boss!
What do you think
Nigga,
happened?
Bitch, fuck your feelings. I'm real. What? What you say, Kahmal?
My bad. What do you think happened to that sense of, or that community? Like, why do you think it's gone now?
Oh, well, it's simple. It's simple. Look, I don't know no other community anywhere more impacted by media, more affected by media than the United States of America. Okay? So I got this homie, Romani Malco. I don't know if y'all know him. I don't know. Don't even start in the comments about his sexual orientation. It's none of my fucking business. But the point is, he explained to me in like we be having these private chats, you know what I'm saying? And back when me and him talked, back when Gilly and Wallow was trying to sabotage his movie, he'd come out with this movie and Wallow was saying, we stole Wallow life story. Wallow, to his credit, he apologized, and apparently he meant it because we went live with it. He did it publicly, all of that. And he was explaining, and he came from a very vulnerable place. Gilly, on the other hand, he just ended up getting roasted by Cam Newton. So I don't want to go hard on old dude. But my point basically being is that during that time, Romani explained something to me, which was interesting. He said that when he's abroad, he encounters fans everywhere. Okay. Afghanistan, Israel, France, the UK, all throughout the Caribbean, Italy. It don't matter where you go. He done had him Slovakian pussy. This Romani nigga be all over the place. He like one of these Renaissance niggas. And he says when he encounters fans in those places, they still regard him as human. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, they are often very respectful. They maintain their distance. They don't reach for cameras and take pictures without asking. And they also genuinely feel bad about bothering you. So a lot of times they don't. They just wave and keep it going. And we were trying to have a conversation about, well, what's the difference in the United States? He said, well, people in the United States literally jump in your car to take a selfie. Yup. He said, Motherfuckers will try to give you a blowjob in front of your kids if it means they can get a selfie or go or get on Snapchat. Right? He said, he was explaining, he was like, people don't give a fuck who you with. They don't give a fuck what you're doing. They don't care where you're going. In the United States, 60 to 70% of his experiences are by people who don't see him as human. They see him
60 to 70. You said that high, huh?
60 to 70% of people don't see him as human.
Fuck.
They see him as a zoo animal, as a spectacle.
Yeah.
And so I was like, damn, you know, coming from Romani, because he ain't really the hater type, and he don't want that smoke, right? Yeah. He ain't like me. I don't give a fuck. I'm nice with him. You heard me? But this, you know what I'm saying? This light in the ass nigga, androgynous light in the ass nigga, you know, he don't really want to. And he was saying this to me in private. So don't go giving him no smoke for that, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So my point is, Romani and I were going deeper into why is it that people feel this need, have this disregard for an individual, and it's who they see on a screen. And it is literally because most of us is going to cry more, or most of us have cried more for the death of Whitney Houston than we did for the death of our own auntie. Because most of us have been so terrified by media and the fear mongering that we end up finding solace, finding safety in our screens. We are afraid of nature. We are afraid of adventure.
Lost you.
As a result of that, our lives are lived right here. Yes, an android, fuck you. So the point is, now not you, Kahmal, old dude cracking jokes about my android. As soon as I raise it up, he gonna show us the android. Yeah, I showed you the fucking android. So the point is, the cognitive dissonance that it takes to exist in a country like this. And like I said, I believe America is an amazing tool. I identify it for what it is, right? But the cognitive dissonance, it's across all facets of our life. These recent generations are the only generation so far being born knowing not to trust government, knowing not to trust or leave it up to media. These new generations, the first one, we grew up with parents who took that shit as the gospel, especially if it was a white motherfucker on TV saying the shit. Bars.
Facts.
So, in my personal opinion, if you live insulated enough, if you accept learned helplessness enough, if you don't come out of the kennel, what's the result? How do you learn to cultivate neighbors? How do you learn to cultivate community? How do you learn the discipline and tolerance? That's why when you see people who grow up with siblings and you see the only child, right? The motherfucker who grew up with siblings is out there sharing food. The only child will stab you with their fork. You put your hand in their food.
Yeah, that's me.
It's your orientation into the world. But people complain. They come over. Immigrants come from other countries and have a 67% higher chance of succeeding than Americans. Well, it's because immigrants understand community. When they come over to this bitch, they go hook up with their folks and they folks put them on. Walk them through the process. Well, if you live in insulated, ain't no community. But so you don't know how to humble yourself for help.
How do you think the average person, what steps can they do to find community? Because I do think that's a huge thing. A lot of people are lonely as fuck.
Okay, so this is where I probably get canceled. Okay?
Uh-oh.
This is probably where I get canceled. Bilal, you really want the answer to this shit? Okay. In my online community, what we teach at the Therapy Center, boss, community is a verb. Community is a verb.
Okay. Elaborate.
It ain't a location, not today. It ain't a color, not today. It's a verb, meaning the people who are actively working on the pain points that matter to you and yours. The people who are actively working and sacrificing to improve the circumstances that affect you and yours. That's your community. Fuck what you heard, community is a verb. I want you to repeat it with me. Fuck what you heard, community is a verb. Boss.
Wow.
Now, a lot of us are under this illusion that, hey, if you black, you part of my community. We have a tendency to make these generalizations, which is a defect of lacking community. So most of us are suffering from what we call perceived pain. Perceived pain, not your personal pain, meaning you haven't addressed the neglect you experienced from being raised in a household with a single mother and a father who wasn't interested in what your life turned out to be. You haven't resolved that pain. It's one of the most natural expectations of any child. It's the biggest void you can leave in a child. You haven't addressed the emotional and psychological damage you've had to suffer being raised in a community that shamed you because you couldn't afford the latest sneaks. You haven't resolved the physical abuse you witnessed your mother endure because your father would repeatedly put his hands on your mom. You haven't resolved the issues you've experienced because you were being raised during the crack epidemic when Rick Ross was hustling crack through your neighborhood and fucked up your household. You haven't resolve the issues of your father being removed from the household by Nixon because of the fact that he declared a war on drugs. You haven't survived. You haven't even began to adjust to identify the emotional toll that these things have taken on you. So you are still a little boy seeking approval. You are still a little boy seeking righteousness, waiting for somebody to come around and make it right. You are unresolved. You are a little boy walking around with real damage that has been unresolved, that has not even been addressed. And how do I know? Because, nigga, I spent 4.5 years coaching for 90 minutes or more, 3 times a day, 2, 3, 4 days a week for free. And the most people I talked to was Gen Xers and millennials. And the craziest part about that whole experience is that most instances, people had no understanding. These are Gen Xers and millennials. Motherfuckers is old like me. They had no understanding of where their self-limiting beliefs came from. You have these emotions. Yeah. You have this lack of resolve. You feel this rage. But how easy is it to trigger you and make you believe that this is where your pain is coming from, and this is where your pain is coming from, and this is where your pain is coming from, and this is where your pain is coming from, and this is where your pain is coming from. You're easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And through that process, you begin to engage in what I call perceived pain while you neglect your personal pain. So you never develop as a man because you never address the wounded child in you. Bars.
Question. For people who, I don't know what the answer would be for people who aren't even like aware of it, of the pain. Like obviously they experience it, but it's not in the back of their head. Like let's say somebody knows like, okay, like this is how I grew up. These are probably the things that I'm dealing with. What do you think they could do to like start addressing it? What do you think is the best way?
My biggest uphill battle right out the box is the fact that most people that I talk to have no clue. They don't believe if I use words like emotion, like psychological trauma, most of the people that fuck with me would be like, that ain't me. If I say emotional baggage, most of the men that I fuck with would be like, that ain't me either. That ain't me, right? So there was definitely an attempt to educate. But here I am now, 15 years in the game, digital. And guess what? It's a lot more folks who are aware.
Right.
So I don't want to skip over your previous question to answer this question. So I'm going to answer the previous question, which is, if you are wrapped up so much in perceived pain, what the narratives of unresolved men with microphones are telling you, women are this, black men are this, and you get so caught up in that perceived pain, guess who's still being neglected?
The inner child.
That little boy who uncle tried to put his finger in his ass while he was asleep. He's still neglected, even though he's 35 now, even though he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
That wound's still there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When your mama told you to shut the fuck up because you sound just like your daddy, that wound's still there. Yeah. When your daddy decided he had no interest in who you were, that wound is still there. But you too busy being a mascot as Cam Newton called Gilly, but you too busy being a mascot for all these angry, unresolved niggas with microphones that you would rather neglect that unresolved little boy in you. So guess what? If you can't resolve that, you can't find your community, which is a verb. Boss, you don't know who's addressing your personal pain.
Yeah.
Niggas talking about stop talking about me. Too busy performing. Oh man, the awakened men. I like that. Too busy performing. And that is why we boil relationships down to transactions. Because we can only identify that which is tangible. That's what limited men do. That's what limited women do.
When you
We
said
are
as
damaged. Sorry, go ahead.
my bad. When you said as transactions, what did you mean exactly?
What I mean by that is, if you give me this, I give you that. You want some ass, buy me this. You do this for me, I do this for you. And it's tit for tat.
Yeah.
No, it's not. If you really are interested in understanding some degree of community, some degree of what the real limbic exchange is in community, you have to really start with yourself. And most of us don't have a relation. We want a relationship with others that we haven't had with ourselves.
How do you think somebody can start that relationship with themselves if they don't know? Like, what do you think would be a good way to start?
Fuck with my channel, for real. No, for real. Fuck with my channel. As a matter of fact, fuck with your channel too. Real talk. Because one thing I never want to be is on the hot seat of your channel.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah. I'm trying to be less, I was gonna say divisive, but mean. I'm trying to steer away from that a little bit, but yeah. Talk to shit.
Well, you know what?
A lot of niggas, yeah.
You got to honor your seasons, dog. You got to honor your seasons, and where you at it, you may be at a certain point. You lean into that bitch. Matter of fact, you get some pros to help you lean in harder, and then you outgrow that. You move to the next phase, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember when Prince was singing Little Red Corvette and all that. But then I remember like a decade later, he had everybody in the prison crunk with them assless chaps. Remember that? He just evolved. You know what I'm saying? A different type of sex symbol. So, boss. So look, I think that the truth about beginning on that journey, I was explaining that there was a study done by Dr. Stephen Myers where he basically put dogs in cages and he shocked them. And he shocked the dogs repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. And then there were other dogs in kennels and cages that didn't get shocked. And the surprising thing was when they opened up the cages, the dogs who got shocked did not leave. They did not leave. They couldn't get them dogs out the cages. It's called learned helplessness. And you have to be able to identify learned helplessness in your own life. So, to start that journey, you have to disconnect from the cage. You have to exit the cage. And exiting the cage, I'll tell you how we do it on my online community. Man, we have periods of, in fact, here goes something we're about to do right now. It's called sun up to sundown meditation. We all, just no devices, no radio, no podcast, no tag-alongs, no stimulants, nothing. And you just go and you sit your ass down, looking at nature or whatever from sun up to sundown with yourself. That one act, people are like, what's the big deal? I'm gonna tell you the big deal. One, most of y'all ain't gonna never do it.
I was about to say all day.
All day, sun up to sundown.
Okay.
I've done it for weeks at a time. Damn. And I'm gonna tell you why most of us will never do it. Well, first of all, it's the most difficult thing you'll ever do. But here's the truth. When you do that, you demonstrate to every cell in your body that you are the priority. Now let's keep it a full buck. All of us got parents to some degree or another, or a primary caregiver. But how many of us can genuinely say that we grew up believing and feeling like we were the priority? Boss, go ahead and lie. Go ahead. While I rock my table. Go ahead and lie. Go ahead and lie. Go ahead and lie. Go lie. I'm waiting. I'm looking at the comments. Go ahead and lie. Most of us don't know what it's like to be prioritized.
Yeah.
Yet we want to meet somebody to prioritize us. Now, a lot of men are quick to say, yeah, crickets, exactly. Crickets, Matt. Crickets. So look, clarity comes with sitting with yourself. That's what I am. I'm a clarity coach, family. Thank you, Herb Reed. So I lean on niggas hard in my community, right?
Right.
And so if I ask brothers right now what they are pursuing in your community, you ask them what they are pursuing in their community. Kahmal, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be a bunch of fuzzy communication. Maybe 9-10% of them will be specific. Everybody else fuzzy as shit. Because, as Herb Reed just said, clarity comes from sitting with yourself, but we will never do it. We would rather stay connected to these, stay connected to the drama, stay connected to all these so-called gurus.
Well, I think what you said about like getting away from social media, I definitely think people need to do that, myself included. How often do you think is like I appreciate that. Nice, I appreciate that, the subscription. How
Absolutely.
often do you think people should do that? Best case scenario.
Well, here's the truth.
Okay.
We do something called fasting in our community. And,
Okay.
and I'm answering your question, but I got to give you some of this.
Yeah, please.
So when we fast, when people first started fasting in my community, like we would do like a 72-hour fast.
Damn.
They would literally be standing outside the wing spot waiting
for that last minute.
Oh, damn. 72-hour fast is over, and they walk right into the wing spot, get their wings, get their favorite drink and all that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the point of a fast. The truth of it is that what you want to use a fast to do, aside from gaining clarity, aside from helping your body to reset and cleanse your cells, is you want to wean yourself off of your vices. And so what that means is with that 72-hour fast, maybe you can cut your sugar intake back a little bit. Because once you've gone without it for a while, it becomes a little bit easier to maybe take in a little less sugar, or maybe get rid of as much processed meats or whatever the case is, right? You do your next fast, you cut back a little more and gradually begin to wean yourself off all the shit that is really a detriment to your health.
Yeah.
Including porn, right?
Right.
So my point is basically being the same goes for taking moments and sitting still with self. If you could just take 10 minutes a day and take a walk by yourself with no devices, you are giving yourself more attention than most of us got as kids, especially if you Gen X. Nigga, I'm from the hose water generation. And we didn't just drink that shit. We bathed in it too. The only reason I knew I had a big dick is because my neighbor told me. I didn't know that shit. So you don't want to be, look, most people suffer their whole lives because they can't suffer through a few uncomfortable moments. Boss. When you sit still and you allow those fears to arise, and you allow your sense of inadequacy to arise and all of your thoughts to ruminate, and you can face them, you just demonstrating self-love, dog, self-acceptance. And most of us don't. We don't demonstrate self-acceptance. That's why we all out there chasing the decoys. That's what I call all the status symbols. We just out there chasing decoys, but we don't really know it. A lot of us will go get a woman, not because of how she makes us feel, but because of how she makes us look.
Yeah. Facts.
Hey, dog, when it comes to this grown man shit, ain't a lot of folks want this smoke. Not a lot of them. Niggas spend 2 hours scrolling through Instagram, and the only thing that changes is fucking data plan. Buzz! Dog, even a loser is considered a leader amongst the lost. Buzz! Look, nigga. Dog.
I was gonna ask like where you think this is going, but I feel like, I mean, I brought it up. Where, like, do you think parenting has gotten better over time, or what do you think? I feel like more people are becoming aware, but you would definitely know more than me. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I definitely think that, one, before we get to villainizing parents, I just have to go in and make this really clear, because people will say we villainizing parents. Look, dog, you got to understand that a lot of what your parents did to you, a lot of what your parents imposed on you is a byproduct of the environments that they were raised in.
Yeah.
So a lot of us be mad at our parents. But the minute I started investigating what my parents had actually been through, what they had survived, and the fact that they managed to keep me alive despite their dysfunction, I developed an empathy for them that I didn't know I had. I didn't know I was capable of. So in terms of parenting getting better, listen, man, whether you know it or not, we live in a country of extremes.
Mm.
This is a clash of extremes. So in some instances, it's motherfuckers carrying out the worst versions of ourselves, and they passing it on to their kids. And then there's other versions of us that are adopting new philosophies, exposing their children to different things, communicating with their children as if they are human. The kids actually have opinions and a say-so in what goes down.
Mm.
And unfortunately, media can't thrive without clicks. And science says that negativity is the better trigger. Gets you more clicks, gets you more exposure, gets you more shares, etc. The statistics have proven that.
Yeah.
So media has to promote the ratchet. But in my personal bubble, in the life that I'm living in, I can say, yes, parenting is getting better. And I still know folks is fucking up, including myself. I spoke to my son with a tone today that I have never spoken to him with.
Mm.
And this morning.
Yeah.
And I felt like shit. And I apologized for 2 hours. But none of this is going to make sense to a nigga who's still in that kennel, getting shocked.
Yeah.
Learned helplessness. None of this makes sense to you isolated motherfuckers.
What do you think is the most common learned helplessness, like the average person goes through?
Well, you know what? It's so many, but I will definitely say that a lot of people come to me when they've gotten to a point of losing their families and experiencing a lot of loss. Then they want to jump into my community.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, you know what, dog, you ain't gonna come here and trauma dump, okay?
Yeah.
And usually the through line is one's willingness to blame and project. I think blaming and projecting is, in truth, it is the constructing of a cage. It is an attempt to relieve yourself of any responsibility of your destiny, and you are ultimately constructing that cage through blame. And blame feeds into self-doubt, as Brandon is saying. Blame leads into procrastination. Blame leads into this ideology of not having control, it being outside of your hands. Blame leads into all kinds of things. But what it really does is you try to trick yourself into believing you played no role in your suffering. And so what ends up happening is people will blame and blame and blame and blame until they've gotten to a point of crisis. And by crisis, I mean, as old boy stated right here, the whatever 406 said, losing their families. They get to the point of losing their families. They get to the point of being so ill, 45 years old and so ill that they got to get They got to get heart surgery and shit. They ain't shit in 14 days. Yeah. They family don't talk to them no more. They become estranged parents. Or they about to go to prison. And so, if I can advise anything to anyone here, if you want to avoid the delulu, if you want to avoid waiting to the moment of crisis, wean yourself off of your addictions. And that means, and what I mean by that is, you need to blame. You need to feel drama or anger. All of these things are addictions. The blame, the porn, the distractions, it's all addictions. If you can wean yourself off of those gradually, it's process. Rome wasn't built in the day, that was Utah. It's a process. But, and so what you got to work on is, how do I take accountability? My whole life changed with this one revelation. Life is not happening to me, it's happening because of me. I am responsible for everything that happened in my life, despite my uncle really trying to put his finger in my asshole while I was asleep.
Damn. Sorry about that.
I used to sleep with my hard bottoms on, nigga, so I kicked him in his throat, fucked his throat up good. Fucked his larynx up. Took like 7 hours of surgery on his fucking larynx. To this day, when that nigga talk, his voice is fucked up. He sound like, what's the name of the big old buff nigga that used to win all the Grammys in the 90s? The big, strong, with the afro, used to work out, buff nigga. The rest, wear the long, Macy Gray, sound like that nigga.
Okay, my bad.
Boss! Yeah. So, my point being, I've been through that. I've been through my parents giving each other venereal diseases, finally divorcing and blaming me because I didn't tell on motherfuckers. I'm like, well, you told me not to tell. Right? I've been through all that. I've been through the moms with the chemical imbalance. I pulled my mama off a balcony when I was 5 because she was trying, not a balcony, a fire escape when I was 5 because she was trying to commit suicide. I've been through all the dysfunction. I've survived the dysfunction. And never, most of the time when I'm on this bitch talking to folks, I'm talking about my life experiences. I'm talking about me. I'm not projecting. I'm not blaming. I'm telling you what I did. That's why can't nobody come on my channel and be mad at me. Why are you calling men? I ain't calling men shit. I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
And the minute I said everything happening in this life is because of me, not to me, my life changed. My tax bracket changed. And it don't mean that I don't still go out and find the wrong partner at times. It don't mean that I don't come out of my mouth wrong and ignorant at times. No, I'm not pursuing perfection, nigga. I'm pursuing peace. Boss. I want to be able to lay down and enjoy my own company. To answer your question, which I think is a beautiful question, I love the questions you're asking. You know, we are in a cycle of blame and perceived pain, meanwhile neglecting the wounded little child inside of all of us. And so if you want to work on the division, I don't understand how motherfuckers come on a platform and start telling you about women. Women this, women this, women this. I'm like, well, okay, let's talk about your mama, and he can't tell you nothing. Nigga, the only woman you need to understand is your fucking mama. Because I can guarantee you that woman right there will have molded your perspective of everything else. And it will determine the type of woman you attract, the type of woman you are attracted to, and the type of drama you experience throughout your life. And then the next woman you need to learn is the woman you with. That's it. And I can almost guarantee you it's going to be a through line between your mama and that woman. Every time. Boss.
Yeah.
So a lot of us were just raised by dysfunctional women. And a lot of what but she cared for us. She fed us.
Yeah.
She mixed that formula for us.
Kept us alive.
Kept us alive. And so our interpretation of life and of love is a little unhealthy. In fact, it's very unhealthy. It's extreme. And a lot of these women, they went through so much shit to get us to where we are today And it's hard for us to appreciate them because it's hard to look past all the dysfunction they refuse to acknowledge. But so what it boils down to is, if you think of who we are in this country, understand this. Quite often, a child's emotional needs will take a back seat to economic needs. We was raised in survival mode. And now you got niggas going out there. What's the old boy name? I don't know. I'm not, what's it? Dick Cannon? Nick. Sorry.
Oh, Nick.
Nick Cannon. My bad.
Nick Cannon is an accurate name, though.
Right? Who believes it, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, that's not too far off. I mean, since he has so many kids. Dick Cannon, I mean, he's putting it to work.
Yeah, I fucked that up. Thank you. All right. So what who believes that you can just have children, and as long as you provide financially for those children, these children are well off? Well, no, in truth, the two most valuable things I have found that I can give to my child is my time, is my presence, like me being present.
Right.
And emotional validation. And Hot Wheels. Yeah. But so three things. But the point of it is that most of us are living in survival mode, or were raised in survival mode, and that is what we've adopted as life. So here we are, we got a wealthy man trying to validate children being raised in survival mode. If you don't understand the value of emotional validation, you can't pass it on. Now here go the irony. It's a nigga on YouTube telling people that he tells his 3-year-old that his emotions don't matter. Now here go the irony of this shit. You learn that emotions don't matter. You pass on to your kids that their emotions don't matter, right? This is what I talk about with cognitive dissonance. Your emotions don't matter. Fuck your emotions. Be a man. Your emotions don't matter. What is the common denominator for success and emotional fulfillment in the world?
Accountability.
Oh, I'll answer it. Emotional intelligence. That's how we started the conversation.
Right.
You wanted to know about empathy. I wanted to take us on this whole path of helping people understand, well, if you were raised being invalidated, if you were raised having your emotions invalidated, if you are raised to believe that to be a man, you can't have no emotions, well, guess what, dog? Ain't gonna be no empathy, nigga, bitch. Fuck your feelings, I'm real. Boom!
Yeah.
Now y'all get it. So here's how I reframe it for my son. Mind you, I'm a father of 3. And yes, we all live under the same fucking roof. I got a 22-year-old, a 15-year-old on the spectrum, and a 4-year-old who about to be 32. Here's what I figured out. It's not that your emotions don't matter. Your emotions are not necessarily a cue to act. So in other words, most of us are emotionally dysregulated. I get people coming to me all the time. I need to learn how to control my emotions. Well, we're emotionally dysregulated. Why? Because the wounded child keeps acting out. It's called lack of resolve, grown men. So just because you feel something, that is not a cue to act. In fact, what you feel is a cue to go inward. Why am I triggered by that? Why does that get on my nerves? And so for a lot of people, I'm losing y'all right now, even though the numbers is going up. I'm losing folks because I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you a prime example. Who was here when I said how my mom and dad would cheat on each other, give each other venereal diseases, and then when they finally separated, they blamed me for not telling each other, said I betrayed them and shit. They were disappointed in me. This is 2 grown-ass folks blaming their kid, a 10-year-old, for not reporting on who putting their dick where. I'm like, nigga, you the one with the venereal disease and the pills. I thought you knew. So here I am in my 20s, and my boy leans over to me one day and go, damn, you do that shit, Cole. I said, do what, Cole? He said, nigga, the minute somebody come to you with an accusation, dog, it's like a glass partition comes down. You don't hear shit. You don't hear shit they saying. You go blind to them. And I was like, really? And the girl I was dating at the time was like, Yes. And I was like, seriously? And she was like, are you being sarcastic? And I was like, no. Well, guess what? Let's talk about unresolved wounds. Well, because of the fact that I lived in a family that was incapable, adults, I was raised by my primary caregivers who were incapable of taking ownership of shit. They blamed me. And as a 10-year-old, I interpreted that as my failure, not their failure. And that was a real deep cut for a 10-year-old to have to process. So I walked around with that wound, that wounded little boy, feeling responsible for his family falling apart. And so now, at 20-something years old, when people would come to me with an accusation, cancel, I Jerry Springer their ass, Jerry Springer sound booth. Closed caption on their ass, nigga. I don't hear shit. Bars. That's a wound. So as a result, if you trying to give me constructive criticism and you come with an accusation or what feels like an accusation or something I interpret as an accusation, well, I just sold myself short because I can't even receive your constructive criticism because my wound has stepped into the picture. Does that help explain that to you, young men? Do y'all understand what I'm talking about? The importance of healing those wounds?
Yeah.
Do you see how they manifest in your adult life?
For sure. Definitely. Somebody asked a question a little earlier. They said, what's the ideal end goal look like? What they're basically supposed to be striving toward. Did that make sense?
It's fair to ask that, but only you can answer that question.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because it's like we keep trying to generalize and I keep trying to push this narrative that no, you are an individual. You are more of an individual than you believe you are. You are made to believe you are part of a herd. No, dog, you are an individual with unique ideology. Right. You just have been conditioned through social engineering to interpret yourself as different, but no, dog. And so based on your childhood experiences, based on the wounds that you carry and have to now learn how to heal, based on the struggles that you face as a result of it, because what we do is we continue to traumatize ourselves along the way. We repeat the same patterns over and over and over because we never learn from them. I'm 56 years old, still making mistakes that are a direct relation to issues within my upbringing, my orientation that I have yet to resolve. So the end goal, I used to think it changes. When I was 36, my end goal was I just want to fuck Tina Turner before I die. Then she went and fucking died. Okay, so that's not going to be the end goal for me no more.
Right.
Right? I got a different end goal now because I have a child. I have children. But also, I've gotten over certain hurdles in my life. I've resolved certain things in my life. And as a result of that, I've redefined my end goal. I dream bigger today than I did 10 years ago. Boss. So as far as end goals go, I would say if we were to sum it up, the real end goal in this motherfucker would be to achieve your version of freedom. Boss. So how do you mend? How did I mend that wound? So the wound with the accusations, dog. Honest to God, I don't know if I fully mended that wound, but the real steps in the direction was in the direction of this. Now that he brought it to my attention, I could feel, literally physically feel a warmth, like heat in my chest whenever I was in that situation. And what I would do is I would be like, okay, this is that thing. And I would monitor it. I'm probably one of the only mentors you'll ever hear that says, I don't believe we change. I don't.
Really?
I believe we learn to curb our tendencies.
That's not changing?
What does that mean? Say it again. We don't change. We learn to curb our tendencies. So if your trigger reaction to somebody saying something or calling you out your name is to slap them, well, through the need for a certain level of existence, a certain dependency on employment and the social construct that we live in, you learn to curb that tendency. You learn to be like, oh, I identify. Right now, the old me would have slapped old dude. Right now, old me would have robbed everybody in the dog park, right? But now you learn to curb them tendencies. and gradually wean yourself off of the need to think and thrive in survival mode. It really boiled down to it. I've just blessed to be in the company of people who were comfortable enough to call me on my shit, because I did have community. And through that community, I was able to identify things about myself that I probably never would have died from already. And acting on it. You get information, give yourself no more than 48 hours to act on that information. If you believe it hit, if you believe it's going to resonate with you, right? So don't act on your emotions, investigate them. We got something, and here goes something that a lot of niggas ain't ready for. Kahmal, I know I'm long-winded. You got something you want to say, bro?
No, I'm listening. This is great.
Okay. Well, here goes something that we do in the community. I think you heard me talking about this the other day. In my community, one of the things that you have to do that people are really resistant to sometimes is what we call the forensics. The forensics.
Okay.
Y'all following me? The forensics. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what the forensics is. So, in order for me to grow this business, in order for me to be effective in my household, I need to understand everything that I can understand about me. My psychological tendencies, my emotional wounds, my psychological wounds, but my biology as well. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of us are not aware of the fact that we are walking around with mental health disorders and undiagnosed. Yet we are too terrified, too insulated to go to a psychiatrist, let alone a doctor. So we don't know that the household that we grew up in, mental health disorders, chemical imbalances were normalized. And then we go out and attract women of a similar ilk because that's what we're used to. That's what the brain does. It seeks out familiarity.
Yeah.
But if I want to grow this business, if I want to have this family that I want to have, I've got to be willing to understand every aspect of me so that I can fine tune my shit and be the best I can be, show up the best I can. I need to understand how my brain works. Here's something that really changed my life. There's so many things you got to do as a content creator and be, on the big screen at the same time. I would always have this anxiety of feeling like I was falling behind. So much shit needed to be done. I got to get back to so many team members. But the minute I was able to sit down, I've had 2 psychiatric assessments in the last 15 months. And in both instances, they were like, I can't give you a full diagnosis of ADHD, but you do exhibit ADHD tendencies. Oh, it's beautiful. Now, it informed my future behavior.
How so?
So I went now and did some studying and understand myself a little deeper. And through that, I began to understand that all of my greatest success has either come when I've had an executive assistant in place or in the areas that I have teams. The shit that I try to go alone, the administrative of that always falls apart.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be because of them ADHD tendencies. Now, I'm not sitting here preaching that you got to get medicated. No, nigga, you just got to get dedicated. I live in a household of people who are struggling with mental health disorders. And I've seen people literally change their whole fucking demeanor by changing their diet. I had a nigga come to me one time talking about he doesn't understand why as I'm getting older, my schizophrenia is getting worse. I did not know him from Adam, but the question, man, was so intriguing. I did all this research, and guess what I discovered? Sugar multiplies your schizophrenia. Boss.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
So when I say you got to do the forensics, you got to be willing to investigate every aspect of yourself, Wody. And if you truthfully try to understand who you are and where you've come from, that is the process of self-mastery. Boss. Okay, I tell you what. In this little moment, I'm going to take this moment to share something with y'all niggas that's going to change everybody's life. You ready?
Ready.
First of all, give up on perfection, right? That's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
But understand this. The reason that most of us buy into all these narratives about what women and men and all this and shit doing is because here's what's really happening. Most of us have what's called a healing fantasy. Ball.
A fantasy that we're essentially trying to heal like our partner.
No,
or that we can.
It bleeds into all of that, but what it really boils down to is most of us believe that it's just one thing that your mama, your daddy, your primary caregiver, or whoever hurt you can say or do that will make everything whole again and make everything
Oh,
cool and help you regain your healthy existence or make everybody cool. Dog, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. It's like damaged stripper pussy. It ain't coming. It ain't gonna come. Ever. You ain't getting that healing fantasy. Ain't nobody coming to make it right. Ever. Ever. So give up on it.
so how do
It's
they
on
mend
you.
those wounds then?
Well, look, if you waiting on somebody else to do it, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. So whatever your healing fantasy is, let it go. That right there is going to change your life. No one is coming to make it right. And don't get me wrong, from time to time, there'll be some beautiful surprises. No one's coming to tell you what you think is going to make you whole. You got to go within or you got to go without. That's a big part of manhood. Oh, I love this comment right here. Let that lie go, because it ain't coming. Really damaged stripper pussy, it ain't gonna come. Don't matter how good the stroke is, it ain't gonna come. If you're willing to let go of that healing fantasy, here's the magical thing. Meaning your parent or the people that hurt you or the people that damaged you, they ain't coming to say, let me explain this concept, by the way, because a lot of folks are asking questions that are not really relevant to this. So let me explain. What is a healing fantasy? Well, Lindsey Graham, she's a psychologist, wrote a book titled Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Let me see if I can find the link. It's Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Let me see if I can find it. Now, this book is a really good reference. And the reason I say it's a good reference is because she talks about those of us who were raised in households that were rather dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And subconsciously, we are constantly getting worked up by our parents, constantly in this back and forth of toxicity with our parents, or just our parents have become estranged, whatever the case is. Well, the problem with that is that it's like I was discussing with you earlier on, Kahmal, about your grandparents, is that what you're
Possible.
trying to do is you're trying to get them to see it your way, to identify it your way, to have this meeting of the minds. It ain't gonna happen, Captain. And as long as you rely on that, and what she explains in the book is that most of us fall into four categories. We were either neglected and like abused, that type of shit, or our emotions were undermined, or a parent wasn't even there. The long and short of it is our parents were emotionally immature, didn't understand how to honor our emotions. And as a result of that, we are passing this on to other children and to our own children, and we're doing it in our relationships. And what we're really waiting on, what we're really dating, what we tend to go look up, we're looking for other people to heal, to fill this wound, which is impossible. No one else is going to fill that void. It's impossible. The only person that's going to fill that void is you. And a big step in that direction is acceptance. Acceptance that ain't nobody coming to make it right, and that it's up to you. And through that process, you can begin living your life.
Yeah.
You can begin living for you.
Question. Do you
Yeah,
have
family.
any do you think there's any like maybe generics, not the like universal advice you can give on how to start that process, or do you think it's kind of like too like specific to the individual based off of like what they're dealing with?
Or we'll start the process of letting go of your healing fantasy.
Not letting go, but like really starting to mend those wounds once you're aware of them.
Well, like I said, look, man. Look, it's a lot of motherfuckers out here that want to be pampered by their partner. And it's motherfuckers out here who got to take off their fake lashes, but want to be loved for who they are. Well, nigga, you don't love you for you. So the initial demonstration in this bitch is universal. I dare you. Do what we do in my community. Prioritize you, not with a car, nigga. Not with a watch, nigga. No, dog. Sit still with you. Sit still with you. Investigate you. Prioritize you, because ain't nobody else doing it.
Yeah.
How you really feel. Awkward Men says journaling. Journaling helps. Prayer helps. But stillness, if you stay connected to this from now to whenever, I can guarantee you it ain't happening, Captain. Yes, meditation. Yes, yo, I got a whole book. Look, I got a whole book. Every section leads section for journaling, introspection, community. You have to go out, whether you believe it or not. You can't do it alone. You got to go out and find your community. And there's a lot of niggas that was in this red pill community fighting and arguing and going off on each other and exposing each other. So-and-so saying you ain't supposed to be no stepdaddy. Meanwhile, he a stepdaddy and all. Look, dog, wasn't a community. That's not a community because you're fucking with perceived pain. I'm talking about personal pain. I'm talking about that time that your dad left your family, went and started another family up the block and left your ass for dead while he raised and nurtured his kids all the way through college with the other family. Yeah, that's real pain, huh? Niggas talking about they know the hood and don't even know they real daddy live up the fucking street. Boss! You want to feel like a priority? You want to be treated like a priority? Treat you like a priority. And it don't have nothing to do with status. It don't have nothing to do with objects. Like I said, we got all kinds of things we do. Here goes something. Here goes something we do in my community. And the reason I bring up my community is because I literally put together this system for all of us, right? So you ain't got to be in the community to do this shit. Here's what you do. I want to do a couple of things. The first thing I want you to do is what we call top of week. So at the beginning of the week, I want you to write down, at the very beginning of the week, write down all the things that you believe that you need to get done, whether you know it or not. Just write them all down at the very top of the week. Some people have the discipline of writing that shit down every day. Not me. not me. Top of week. You write down and list out all your fucking goals, right? Now, you got all your goals written out for what you want to knock out this week. Now, what you also going to do is, throughout the week, as you knock these goals down, you're going to check them off. That will reduce your anxiety significantly, okay? And if you ask me, always put the hardest shit first so that by the end of the week, you're working on the easiest shit, right? Now, here go another one for you. You can take all that shit and you can put it in the chat GPT, right? And tell chat GPT, whenever I tell you I've done something, I want you to move it to the complete section of this list, okay?
Okay.
And continue to compile a list as I add things that I need to do. Now, that's just one little thing that's going to take some anxiety off your shoulders. Another thing that we do is we do a 10-minute walk minimum. Mine always turn into 50 minutes, an hour, but you just basically walk. Turn off your devices and walk. Literally walk. It's amazing what it does for the mind.
Every day?
Amazing what it does for the mind. Huh? We say you have to do at least 4 times a week.
Okay.
But if you can do it every day, kudos to you.
Okay.
Just walk. Here's the third thing. Now I want you to take that big long-term dream and write that bitch down. We call this the intention. We call it the intentional. It's called the intention journal. You write down that one big goal, walk and read it aloud. Walk and read it aloud to yourself like a crazy person. So I'm gonna just give you an example of what that looked like. I could show you video because I'll be recording myself doing it sometimes. But let me just spit one for y'all so y'all can see what it's actually like. You know what I'm saying? And I like doing this move anyway, right? So check this out. I educate my son through real life experiences, deep conversation, and intentional exposure. My son thrives academically and emotionally because of the consciousness of the tutors, the mentors, teachers, and friends and family I bring into his life. I make learning fun for both me and my son through experiences such as travel, adventure, outings, and the people I surround us with, and so forth and so on. Buzz! Dog, I don't know why I didn't start doing this early in life.
Yeah.
That shit, when you walk and you say these things aloud to yourself, they become the ultimate self-programming. Thank you. Matt took it right out of my mouth. My brain literally starts saying, yo, I can hear my brain talking to different parts of my brain talking to each other. Nigga, you supposed to be on that. I'm handling the resources. You supposed to corral the tutors. Well, what do you do? This nigga sleeping. He ain't even on the job. My brain starts trying to figure out ways to create this reality. I can feel it.
Yeah, I believe in that for sure. Yeah. I think that stuff is very real. Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. It's one of the coldest forms of manifestation in my life.
Yeah.
So those are 3 things. And here's the 4th thing. Sun up to sundown meditation. I dare you. Put down your devices, put down your cigarettes, put down your weed, put down your loud, put down your alcohol, put down your stimulants, put down your sweet drink and your monster drink. Get some water and go sit in your car and look at some trees. Look at the ocean from sun up to sundown. That right there is the most instant method of changing your life immediately. That right there. Oh, somebody saying, oh, how do you join? My community, it's an online correctional facility, so we don't go soft. I'll let you know that now. We don't go soft. Yeah. So look, you do those 4 things, I can almost guarantee you will be on the path to healing. In fact, just having this conversation, just coming to terms with the fact that you might be suffering from trauma, that you might have unresolved issues. You can do therapy. You can do support groups. You can do introspection, journaling, yoga. Look, man, the list don't stop. But the long and the short of it is your job is to learn you. And most of us are too distracted to give ourselves the time of day. Boss, you either become great at accepting good help or become good at accepting great failure. Boss. The resources are there, my people. All I ask is that today we make one commitment, and that's self-prioritization. And contrary to popular belief, that is not selfish. It's not selfish. No. If you ask me, it's selfless. And I'll give you a prime example. So remember how I was telling y'all I've had 2 psychiatric assessments in the last 15 months?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If I got some shit, if I got some tendencies that might affect me emotionally, or I might get dysregulated, or I might become impatient, shit, I need to know. So that when me and my lady get into it, I can say to her, look, I can see how my chemical imbalance or my tendencies might be leaning or playing into this disagreement.
Yeah.
So I'm having a rough, let's say I struggle with depression. I'm having a rough day today. I know I'm a little snappy. It's not because of you.
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to be with the kids today, but I'm having a rough time getting out of bed. Is there anything that we can do to lighten the load for me so that I can go work on my shit? If I give that to my partner's like, oh, I'm not crazy. You are tripping. Yes, babe, I'm tripping. And I promise you, I'm going to double down on that good dick once I get back. Just right now, my shit is off.
Yeah.
And that degree of communication creates teamwork. That's called reciprocity. That's called accountability. Introspection is really the root of all joy.
Mm.
Yeah, I know you expected to get this deep. Niggas come to me for the jokey joke, and then I hit them with that hit. I hit them with that hard shit, and then they get to thinking, crying and shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you given us a lot to think about for sure. But like you said, it all really stems from like introspection and making yourself a priority and like figuring out why you get triggered by certain things. And yeah, I really do think like it's your like obviously the trauma that was put on you, that's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to deal with that stuff, because it's not going to do
Yeah.
anything but help you and the people
No,
around you.
unless you comfortable raising your kids the way your parents raised you, everybody hit the like button. Nikki's right. Hit the fucking like button. If you like something. And if you're motivated to hell, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to help folks, share this with you. If you share this shit with your folks, you heard me? So, yeah. So, I think that everybody wants a magic bullet. Everybody wants a magic pill. Everybody wants an instant fix. And the truth is, I'm 56 years old. I'm 56. And I'm still figuring out and resolving shit.
Yeah.
I'm still in the midst of identifying where I may be falling short in my communication, in my execution of my goals, etc. And so here's one last thing I think I should say. Look, dog, whatever you want to do, whatever you trying to do, whatever you aspire to, the fear gonna be there anyway. It don't matter. If it's new, if it broadens your territory, the fear gonna be there anyway. And most of y'all are waiting for confidence to embark upon a new journey. You waiting for confidence to go after what you want. Well, confidence is not the catalyst. Confidence is actually the reward. Pause.
So what's the catalyst?
The catalyst is often frustration. The catalyst is often a desperate need for change. And sadly, often the catalyst is crisis. So let me give you some real quick steps. Most of you don't realize you are working against yourself because you don't realize how much sugar you consume or how many chemicals you consume and how those chemicals impact your mental state. And as a result of that, you feel incapable. Your doubt is heightened. Your fear is accompanied with anxiety, or you feel lethargic and your energy, your vibration is low. And it might just be because of the shit you putting in your fucking mouth. You not lazy, nigga. You just addicted to the wrong shit. Another thing is, which I stressed on, dog, you might not know that you walking around undiagnosed with a mental health disorder. And you afraid to go find out. You might go find out that you are dealing with ADHD or bipolar disorder or some other shit or low-grade depression. Nigga, we don't know. I want to know because I want to be the best version of me I can be.
Right.
So again, you're not lazy, dog. You might just be undiagnosed. What's another version? Another version is, oh, you trying to do it alone. Why? Because you fear accountability. You fear failure. Most of us have trust issues. And because of our trust issues, we become so self-reliant that we move at a snail's pace as if competition don't exist. Well, no, dog, get out your bubble. Because I'm going to tell you right now, to answer Kahmal's question, the catalyst is discomfort. It's discomfort, not comfort. That's the catalyst. You want to feel uncertainty. Nigga, Kobe Bryant said himself in his book, he said the greatest accomplishments are often fueled by doubt. Niggas. Even Mike Tyson, a seasoned veteran, said he was terrified to step in the ring with Jake Paul because he hadn't taken an acting class in ages. So these are greats. Just terrified.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you be scared to embark upon a new journey? The difference is the greats don't let it inhibit their action.
Yeah.
Pause. So I can give you a long list. Just go watch my videos. It's all right there. I can give you a long ass list. But when it really boils down to it, family, we are usually working against ourselves. And here's what it boils down to. We talk about this within and we call each other on this in my community all the time. You want to know what it really boils down to, family? Coping mechanism. So listen to this crazy ass cycle. Listen to this crazy ass cycle. You go through trauma in your childhood, and people, it ain't just your parents. It ain't just your parents. Nigga, you in school watching motherfuckers get shot. At least I was. Watch your teacher get stabbed on the stairwell. You got to jump over his body and shit so you can walk your girl to class. And we ain't have cell phones back then, so that nigga just bled to death. But the point is, you going through all this shit, you having these experiences, all of that is traumatic. People making fun of you because of the fact that your teeth is crooked, or you ain't got the latest Adidas or Jordans or whatever was hip for your era.
Yeah.
Right? All of this shit can like Dr. Gabor Mate says, trauma is not what happened to you. Trauma is what happened inside of you as a result of what happened to you. So for some people, two people go through the same experience, it might only be traumatic for one of them.
True.
You understand?
Thanks,
So
yeah.
my point just basically being is like, listen to this beautiful cycle, this crazy dramatic cycle. So you go through these wounds, you experience all this trauma, you experience the trauma. Now you grow up, you being triggered left and right. You have no idea of where these limiting behaviors and limiting beliefs come from. You don't know that you waiting on a healing fantasy. You waiting on somebody else to come and give it to you raw, or can say, hey, you know, look, I really fucked up and these are the issues and somehow it's going to make you whole. That never comes. You continue to re-traumatize yourself because the brain is leading you to the things that are most familiar in your life. And then you end up more divided and more alone because you've never honed in on the skills that were necessary for creating the community that will help you heal. That's all of us.
Yeah.
That's all of us. And the reason that you are all so easily misled, the reason that you are all so easily taking down these journeys of what's going on in the world and what's wrong and what's right, I'm going to tell you right now, it's because of the fact that from birth, social engineering, when you were told stories, and it ain't like this in other parts of the world, I can tell you that right now, you were taught that there was a good guy and a bad guy. And they associated all these atrocities with the bad guy, and they associated all these heroic behaviors with the good guy. And so now in your life, you have this binary way of thinking of good and bad. And through that binary way of thinking, we are able to trigger you. And the minute we are able to convince you that so-and-so is a bad guy, you make all those associations all the way from childhood to present day. And that is how you villainize that person in your heart, though you don't know shit about him other than what the media is telling you. And that's how it works. And so back to the cycle. So now you are involved in what I call perceived pain. And then it gets to when you're 25, 35, 45, and you're suddenly really unsatisfied with your life. Maybe your health is a little compromised. You're feeling a little lazy. You feel a little unaccomplished. So you develop coping mechanisms. The way you eat, the way you smoke, the way you drink, the way you date or sleep around, the porn you watch, the things you consume, your social media distractions. That's your coping mechanism. And as a result, you pull yourself further away from the possibilities of ever healing what's in your heart, or ever healing that little boy inside of you that you neglected. How crazy is that cycle? Change is like hippie pussy. Okay? You can get through it if you can withstand the odor. Okay?
Oh, wow.
You can get through it if you can withstand the odor. This is the fact. Bars. Okay? No. Most folks is fighting desperately for comfort.
Yeah.
And for most people, they don't even realize their comfort is robbing them of their come up bars. Here, you want something concrete? You want me to show you something concrete? I'm going to show you something that I do. Here, look, here. I'm going to give you something concrete because Kahmal been asking for something concrete. I'm going to show you something that I do. I sit in a chair and I put another chair across from me. This is called the 2-chair technique.
Okay.
And, okay. So now, me as myself, I look at the other chair and I'm looking at the little 8-year-old boy in me over there.
Oh,
And
wow.
little man, I know I've been busy. I ain't paid you a lot of attention. And I think that there's a lot going on in your soul right now. And I want to know what that is. I want you to tell me what that is, cuz. I want you to know that you can tell me anything. I will not judge you. I'm open to hearing everything. In fact, I want to make it better. I fucked up. I left you behind. But I'm here to get you now, and it's going to start with this conversation. Then I go to that other chair. And as that 8-year-old boy, I talk back to me. And here's what I say. I don't like the way you talk to me. You make me feel like I'm stupid. You make me feel like I have to be perfect or I'm a failure. And I can't stand that shit. And then I go back to this dude right here. And I say, you know what? I know. And I'm going to tell you why I do that. First of all, let's start with I'm sorry. It's never my intention. It's just how I was taught, cuz I was taught that way. I don't want to ever talk to you like that. All I want to do is build you up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Something wrong with the way I talk. Somebody convinced me somewhere down the line that I wasn't worthy, and I just continued with it. I ran with it like a baton. But it's a lie. It's a Sha'Carri Richardson lie. Ain't nothing wrong with you, dog. You perfect. And I got your fucking back from this day forward. And I will never talk down on you again. And then I go back to this little nigga over here. And it says, I don't feel smart. I don't feel smart at all. And I don't know how to believe you because I don't feel smart. I don't feel like I know what's right, and I don't feel like I know what's wrong. I just want to play. I just want to have fun. I just want to have a fucking childhood. Then I go back to this nigga right here and continue the conversation. Is that concrete enough?
I think so. Definitely.
Is that concrete enough? Y'all okay now? Huh? This newer generation? Does that work for you?
I hope they do it. I don't see them doing it. I'm gonna be real. I feel like when I see people talk about like talking to themselves in the mirror, that freaks people out.
Hey, look, dog. Hey, look, man. Broke folks be the only folks that I know that go to extreme lengths to look good in front of other broke folks. I don't give a fuck how I look. Like I said, for me, I want peace.
Yeah.
I want an upwardly mobile family. My children ain't got to go out and be rich. My children got to go out and be happy. They got to go out and be fulfilled. Bars. That's called the 2-chair technique. I learned that from a book, a very old book written by a psychologist named Dr. Terrence Real. And it was called I Don't Want to Think About It. And it just consists of about 30, 40 case studies of men dealing with depression. And so that's just one example of many. Yeah. Just one example of many. Another example. Dog. I started investigating the upbringing of my parents. Woo! Hey, the fact that I'm alive and talking to y'all right now, hey, they both pulled off a small miracle, man. Hey. Woo! Kudos to my parents. I love y'all. I appreciate the fuck out of the both of y'all. Hey, rest in peace, Pops. Rest in peace. Yo. So anyway, I don't want to drag it out any more than we have to, but I hope that y'all got some value out this shit.
No, yeah, they definitely did. And I saw a bunch of people saying they were going to check out the movie. And yeah, people were really loving this. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
I can't just let anybody into my community. I'm sorry. So what I would rather do is I would rather say, join me in my free coaching. In fact, I'm gonna do a free coaching in about an hour. I'm about to go on and do a free coaching in exactly an hour.
Okay.
And you can join me in the free coaching. And if we vibe in the free coaching, then I'll
We'll
give
see.
you more insight to join in the actual community. How about, and yo, man, kudos to the folks that stuck this out. Hey, man, everybody say thank you to Kahmal. Make sure to follow his YouTube channel. Here it is right here. So it's been a great live stream. My name is Tijuana Jackson. I'm the people's mentor. Okay. And yeah, man, you want to get my free coaching? Link is in the description. I'm about to do one in approximately 53 minutes.